Welcome, everybody. We are going to be officially calling this meeting to order. We'll start as always with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Arapaho, Ute, and Cheyenne tribes, the traditional custodians of the land on which the Police Oversight Panel and Boulder Police Department operate, and pay our respects to their elders past and present. I want to welcome our panel members, our city representatives, the public. Thank you all for joining us here today. We will go through our agenda to start. Just a quick reminder though for folks, I know we do have some members of the public with us today. We love getting questions from you all. You can put them in the Q&A and we will answer them when we do public comments. We'll also have time about halfway through the meeting, typically around 7:30, if we can stay on time, which we will try to do. We will also do public comment where you'll each be given time to speak. So feel free to hold your comments until then as well. But we look forward to hearing from you. Quick reminders, if you would like to submit a complaint or know anyone who would like to submit a complaint or contact the panel outside the meeting, you can always do that by emailing us. You can email us at Police Oversight Panel at bouldercolorado.gov. You can also find information on the website about how to submit a complaint online. You can find that info on bouldercolorado.gov/services/police-oversight. And if you ever have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can also find this meeting recorded and recordings of any of our other meetings on our website as well. With that, we'll go to roll call. AB. Turner.
Here.
Soledad. Here. Milan.
Here.
Lizzie. Here.
Kristen.
Here.
And Jason alerted us that he's not going to be in attendance.
Curtis.
Here.
Chico alerted us that he's not going to be in attendance.
Bill.
Here.
Out. Thanks.
That's it. All right. With that, we will open it up for potential approval of our agenda. Just to quickly go over what we have on the agenda today. Start by talking about the minutes from our last meeting. We'll go into some panel updates and guest items. We'll start with a discussion of some subcommittees that we have talked about potentially standing up. We'll talk about 2026 panel recruitment. We'll touch on the 5-year panel review and finally debrief our meeting with the chief and some questions that we had sent to him that he had provided to us regarding block. After that, we'll go into our usual update on our community outreach and engagement committee. We will have the independent police monitors report, go to public comment, perhaps a little later than I said, maybe around 7:45. Then we will go into our regular business. We may take a closed session if needed after public comment, and then go into our case review voting and assignment of cases. Hoping to wrap up by 8:30. Do we have any motions to amend the agenda or any motions to approve? Anything you guys would like to add? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, could I have I would like to make a motion to also talk about the IPM, what is it called? The report for 2024. Can we talk about that?
The annual report?
The annual report. Just
Sure.
a few minutes on that.
Yeah, we have, do you want a motion?
Motion to also add to the agenda, discussion on the 2024 annual report.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
Great. All right. All in favor of adding that item to the agenda? Anyone against? All right. Motion passes. We will add that after our chief debrief. Works? Perfect. Okay, with that, we can go into a discussion of the minutes from our December meeting. Does anyone have adjustments to the minutes or a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Great, all in favor of approving the minutes from December? Anyone opposed? Okay, December meeting minutes are approved. We'll go into our first panel update. That's our subcommittee discussion. I'll hand it over to Lisa. Yep.
So coming out of last month meeting and the need to have like specific conversation around two important topics. One is the referral policy and policy change. I think that's important. And second will be the 5-year review. So Liz and I were talking about maybe the best way of going around this is we don't have enough time built into this meeting to create an ad hoc committee that is allowed by the ordinance. So they should work the same way that the community engagement committee works. So we will be able to meet and talk specifically about these two topics if there's anything to talk about in a time that is not contained in the short time that we have together once a month. So yeah, that will be kind of on the table, open to discussion, open to have thoughts, and if folks are, that sounds like we could do.
Yeah, I think that's highly needed,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be really valuable for the panel and the creation of the panel. So yeah, do we need to make a motion for it or?
Yep. Sorry, I don't know why I responded.
No, go ahead.
Because I looked at you.
We're all together. So two things. One, again, it will work the same way that we do community engagement committee, basically. So there's a calendar post with a Zoom link. The meetings are open to the public to watch. The link is, of course, posted in public, and we can have interaction. The meetings are not recorded. We will have to find panel members that want to lead those that one or two ad hoc committees. I think, kind of looking at how the process might look like with a 5-year review. I don't know if we necessarily need that one, but I do feel that we need a space to talk about the policy change and how do we go about that.
I want to be clear that
Yeah.
the two purposes of the committee is for the 5-year review and also the reinterpretation of the ordinance.
Yes. So we can either do one or we can have two committees and talk about the things. But I'm not sure if we need like a 5-year review ad hoc committee, since there's already a facilitator that has been hired. There's already a system of what I understood from the city manager's email is that there's going to be interviewed kind of a lot of time with each panel member. So we're going to be able to have that conversation, but we can do one, we can do two, and we can do one that does the two conversations at the same time. So kind of open to fine tuning that, but if we establish to have an ad hoc committee, at least to review policy, maybe that would be a good start.
Could it be like 2 hours, 1 hour? Or
I think-
there a time limit, or at least 2 hours.
I think that will be up to the people that are facilitating that committee, and then that committee will have to kind of agree on how often do they want to meet and when are those meetings are going to happen. And Chris raised his hand.
Hello, good evening, panel members. I apologize for not being in person. I had a childcare issue this evening. Lower my hand here. So the ordinance does allow for committees to be formed to conduct the business of the panel. And because the 5-year review is authorized by the ordinance, having a committee for that does seem supported by the ordinance. Having a committee to talk about the referral policy is a bit of a more of a danger area. And so I can absolutely look into that and get back to the panel with some legal advice. But at this time, I'd advise not forming a committee for that particular purpose.
Can you just clarify what you mean by referral policy? I don't know what that is.
The way cases were referred.
Okay.
'Cause that's
I
what
think
that's what we wanted to talk about is the shift.
Mhm.
And he's saying is
We can't do that.
that would not be recommended.
Chris, can I, just to be clear, and my idea of what this panel might discuss might not be the same as everybody's idea, so I don't want to say this is exactly how it would go, but what I was envisioning for this committee was we had discussed potentially talking through some sort of, like compromises is the right word, but things that the panel could request to help us feel more comfortable with this policy. And so my impression was that this committee would talk through what might the panel want to request or propose that could help us feel like we are continuing the same level of integrity of the oversight process with this new understanding of how cases will be referred. Does that change anything about your understanding of whether we can move ahead with this?
Not at this time. It might make sense for to talk about this in depth, since it involves confidential legal advice, to have two members volunteer to meet with myself and Sherry if she's available, so that we can talk about it more fully. And that way it doesn't need to be a publicly noticed meeting, and we can have a confidential discussion.
Chris, and just to understand, you said that it was more dangerous territory. What's the danger?
That the panel would be operating outside the scope of the ordinance, and also potentially talking about confidential legal advice in a public meeting.
So, okay, so if the panel needs to talk about the ordinance, we are out of the scope of the ordinance if we want to talk about the ordinance.
I mean, I would not, you're allowed to talk about the ordinance, but when it comes to discussing confidential legal advice, I would advise not doing that in a public meeting.
So we can have a public meeting in this committee where we don't talk about confidential legal advice. Is that correct?
Specifically, the committee that is formed for the purpose of talking about what we're commonly referring to as the referral policy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
I don't think we're talking about the referral policy in its detail, but coming up with steps forward with the referral policy as it is, in a way that better represents the community. So we won't really be talking about the referral policy, but just the steps forward.
I think it'd be hard to separate those things. But a safe way forward would be for two committee members to gather to discuss these concerns, because then it doesn't need to be a public meeting.
Can you just, I feel like there's a thin line here, and if you can provide us with the specifics of what can't be said in this meeting, then we can abide by that. But to say that we're not responsible enough to have a conversation and not cross that line of talking about this legal advice you keep bringing up, I think it is a lack of trust in the panel here. And if it's clear of what can't be discussed, then we can stick to that.
Yeah, I'm not saying anybody's not going to be responsible. It's always a bad idea for confidential legal advice to be discussed in public, regardless of what the subject matter is or who's doing it. So that's legal advice that would be given to any sort of decision-making body.
So I'm gonna go back to the basics, but we're not asking for legal advice. So, like, how do we go about unsolicited legal advice that is preventing us from talking about the ordinance? Like, if the panel wants to talk about the ordinance, if we want to change the ordinance, if we want to improve the ordinance, if we want to talk about bylaws, we don't have a space to do that. We're not requesting legal advice. We are wanting to navigate the challenges that this interpretation of your office have created for the panel and the work that we're doing. So, I mean, yeah, that's my question. And I think we also need to talk about when we're soliciting legal advice, like, we can be bounded by unsolicited legal advice in this thing.
Thank you, Soledad, for that. Sometimes legal advice will be given whether you ask for it or not. It's an attorney's job to give legal advice when, in their professional judgment, it looks like legal advice is needed. So if none of the attorneys in the city attorney's office operate by just giving legal advice when requested. They wouldn't be doing their jobs. I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't giving legal advice when, in my professional judgment, it's required.
I just want to say, and this is Chris, I cannot not say this. In the last few days, someone has said that several times. We're going to do this whether you ask for it or not. That seems terrible. And I'm sure people that watch the news know who I'm talking about.
Lizzie,
Sorry. Yeah.
I think what Chris is talking about is if we're going, this is what the workflow I would think we would do is we would, as a group, would have a discussion about what we see as roadblocks or ways that we might be able to change things. That's not, we can discuss that stuff because what Chris is suggesting is if we want to articulate what we're thinking here to his office, it should be only two people. So what I think the two people, whoever those people are, I imagine it's our chairs, will go and talk to Chris, but that would be after you all have heard what we've all said. Because I don't think it would be a very good idea to send two people sort of cold into this meeting without the benefit of information from the rest of us. So I think we all want to go the same direction, but it's just a matter of, how we go there. And, I think that, I go back to this 5-year review. If we really want to do what we want to do, that's how we do it. But then what Chris is talking about is if we want to ask him for advice based on what we've been talking about, then that can only happen with two people. We can have this discussion amongst ourselves. We've had it for 3 months in a row. And here we are the 4th month in a row we're having it. And so that's not out of bounds. What is out of bounds is if Chris comes in here and says, okay, this is what the statute says, or this is what the ordinance says. So that's what my suggestion would be, is that we hold a discussion here, maybe a facilitated discussion, but I don't know who would do that, maybe one of the two of you, and kind of ferret out exactly what we want this referral process to look like. Because as it is, I think we've just been spinning our wheels for 3 months doing that, put this over here and this over here, this person thinks this person thinks that. But what if we were to focus that down? So when you two people go and meet with Chris, there are some actual policy recommendations that come from our group as a whole.
So I agree with what you're saying, Alan, but I think that what Chris is saying, and please correct me if this is wrong, but Chris, what Alan is describing is us getting together to discuss what we might request, and then anyone, one or two people asking you if we can request that. The meeting where we get together to request that in itself is a problem. Is that what you're saying? We cannot do that.
If it was outside of like the meeting that we're currently in, if it was a special meeting, yes, that would be an issue, a
Not,
special
not a
meeting.
special meeting, but if we create an ad hoc committee to meet 3 to 4 times over the next 2 to 3 months to talk about what our ideas are, to brainstorm, to get feedback from the panel in between, and put together, say, a document that says, here are our 3 proposals that could then be discussed with you in a smaller group or in an appropriate setting. Is that feasible?
Yes, it would be completely feasible. However, the only caveat would be that 3 to 4 time meeting, that I would advise that be two members of the panel and not more than 2 members of the panel. Both to,
You
so
just
that
want
doesn't,
it to be noticed.
doesn't need to be a public meeting. And then also, then we don't get into whether or not that sort of a meeting is authorized under the ordinance.
So are we, I want to move us on just because we have agenda items to get to, but, okay, 1, 2, 3. So the issue is we can't meet because we can't meet, not because we can't discuss in a meeting what we want to discuss. So we're now out of we can't discuss legal advice in a public meeting zone. We're now back in the ordinance doesn't authorize you to meet for this purpose.
Both of those things can be true. It's unadvisable to discuss confidential legal advice in a public meeting. That is true. That has not changed.
We
But
wouldn't be
my
talking about
ideas about what data we might request are not confidential legal advice, right? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving confidential legal advice.
This is the first time I've been asked about this, but it doesn't sound like that would be confidential.
Okay. Let's go to Milan and then
Actually,
Bill.
Bill was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Credits.
So Chris, this is really confusing because essentially what I'm hearing you say is that the panel can't talk about any policies within the ordinance because of something connected to legal advice, when what we're really wanting to talk about is the process, how referrals are made, which really isn't about legal advice. It's about a policy that we're supposed to work under and through. And so your approach by saying 2 people can do it, it's essentially what I'm hearing you say is 2 people can do it, but you can't talk to anybody else, which is ridiculous. That's not how this panel was set up. And that, in my opinion, totally dishonors what this ordinance is supposed to do, because this is a panel. And if we send Lizzie and Soledad to go talk to you, and you're telling us they can't talk to us, what's the point?
But we have to do it individually.
What's the point?
They can
And
talk.
so, and then I heard you say too, if you talked about it at a public meeting, then that would be okay. So I'm hearing these mixed messages about what it is to move forward. And I hope Alan's point that we work this through in this 5-year review, because this has been the challenging piece of us being able to really work together and look at these policies, is that we always get sidetracked by it's not legal, or it's guarded attorney-client information, when really all we're talking about is the process. That is not attorney-client information, talking about the process. And if we as a panel can't do that as a group, then something's wrong with the ordinance. And it's not, I know you're just hearing all of this, and you can take this back to folks, but there's a huge flaw there, that 2 people can go, or they can spend a week or 2 weeks talking to each one of us at a time. And what you have to understand is when we have these conversations, it kind of like we feed off of each other, where people share ideas. And you're basically taking away our whole ability to be able to truly brainstorm and come up with something that could meet our needs, at least to send out for other folks to think about, for the chief to think about, for Maria to think about, for the city council to think about. And so I think that's, it's creating a big challenge. And we're getting the same answer, so I'm not going to keep asking you the question, but that to me is the real issue here. And if we can't figure it out here, then we have to do it in a bigger scope, because at some point in this 5-year process, this referral process is going to come up at a public meeting. And we're going to have to talk about it. And I don't think you can continue to tell us you can't talk about it in public, because that's part of this 5-year review, is looking at policies, looking at procedures, looking at protocols, and they're going to come up. And so somehow we've got to figure this out, because you can't continue to tell us we can't talk about it if we're going to shift.
The ordinance,
I think-
states that, you know,
Can
policies and
I
responsibilities.
respond?
I
think Curtis
Yes.
Curtis was next.
Like, you can,
Right.
subs-
Yes.
necessary subcommittees.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be, like,
Just, sorry, can I say?
Yeah, please.
Just one thing, sorry, please. But the two people meeting has proven to be ineffective for the last 4 months. That's what we have been doing. Going to meetings, Lizzie and I, trying to get answers, presenting the questions, nothing works. So I at this, this time, I think the ad hoc committee to talk about the ordinance and to talk about the possible changes to the ordinance is perfectly within the scope of the panel. Absolutely, even as citizens, we can look at the ordinance and talk about it. And we are not going to talk about legal advice, and we're not going to talk about any of the things that you said that can put us in trouble. But I do think that this is something we need to push forward. Sorry.
That's good. Chris, I just want to ask you a few questions that may have already been asked, but I just want to get a clear understanding.
Sure.
Can we create an ad hoc committee to talk about this referral process, or to talk about steps forward, all of the referral process, to create a proposal as Lizzie just suggested?
Yes. It depends on the details as well, but yes.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Can we get a motion then?
Did you want to?
Motion to, I'll do a motion right now before anything changes. Motion to have an ad hoc committee created as soon as possible.
Okay, we need a second. Patty Turner, second. Good.
suggest that we have one of you to make the motion, because the ordinance says the chairs can create the subcommittee, so that way,
Okay,
it
Then-
would be.
let's phrase it like this. So the co-chairs propose to have ad hoc committee created for discussing what we already discussed, and would like to see the support of the panel. If the majority of the panel is in support of creating this committee, we will go ahead and create it. So can I see who is in favor of creating ad hoc committee? Awesome. Okay, unanimous. Thank you so much. And Lizzie, should we follow up via email with the panel to set up details and
Yes.
invite people to find a time, day for the
great.
first? Okay, awesome.
And we may want to consider timing, given our panel turnover that's coming up potentially, so we can hash that out, but know that that's,
And
we'll
also,
have some new panel members soon, so we'll figure that
and
out.
also defining the facilitators and
Yes,
this.
yes.
And then if I have a minute, I'd like to continue.
Yes.
If possible. So I just wanna note that what we are endangering with all the conversation that we just had, that we may not be able to meet and talk about. It's like transparency, integrity, respect has been really challenged. And that is towards our community, the people that we are here for. So I just want to say that by saying that we cannot meet, we cannot do this, we cannot do that, we are endangering what we claim to be transparent, respectful, and with integrity. And also, I'm feeling that by Chris, you're no longer on camera, but by just coming to meetings such as that ad hoc meeting, you're basically making, your presence makes it illegal because you will be the one giving us legal advice. And so I find that kind of redundant and just like a little bit strange. That just by being in the presence of in our meeting, sorry, you're making the meeting illegal. Is that my understanding? Like, because we might get legal counseling
Without asking for it.
without asking for it. So I just want to say that too. Like, it's very easy to make a meeting illegal by just being there. And I'm done. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Chris. All right, we will move into our next item, 2026 panel recruitment update. And maybe as we move through the next few items, if we could try to make up a little bit of time, that'll help us stay on schedule. Great. Oh. Can you allow me to share my screen? Yeah.
Okay, so panel recruitment is live. It is open until January 25th. And just giving people the timeline. And for anyone who's watching this, members of the public, that QR code that's at the bottom links you to the application. So during this week, the expectation is that the city manager will select and pull together the advisory committee, who will be involved with vetting applicants and then conducting the interviews of those applicants. So through that process, we expect that candidates who will be selected for interviews will be selected and notified around February 11th. The interviews will take place on February 21st. On March 6th is the expectation that the city manager makes the selection of new panel members, and then we send out offers for those people. And then according to the ordinance, there is training that they need to do. So those mandatory training dates for new panel members are scheduled for April 4th and then April 10th.
Anyone have questions? Everyone know what they need to be doing based on what their timeline is and what their preferences are? Cool. Okay, we just want to make sure everyone sort of knew the plan and options. Sherry? All right, next up, standing item, 5-year panel review. I know this item was Chico's request and he couldn't make it today. Does anyone want to take this item or have anything they want to discuss? And maybe we sort of touched on it with the previous discussion as well, but 5-year panel review, thoughts?
We talked about this a little bit in the community engagement meeting, and it did come up that Chico had ideas around it, and we were supposed to talk today at 1 o'clock, and that didn't happen, so I'll follow up with him again.
Okay.
And the only thing we talked about is having it just something separate that we just do to acknowledge that, and the logistics we haven't really even gotten into yet. So I wanted to talk to Chico, and I'll try to get back connected with you this week.
Perfect. Anybody else? Great. Oh, go ahead.
Just also, so there was a sub item of co-chairs. So I looked at the bylaws today, and the co-chairs election is supposed to take place a month or earlier before the end of the term of co-chairs. So I have an idea on how to reconcile that if people want to hear it.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And that is that someone could make a move to delay the annual elections of the co-chairs until hopefully April 2026. So that the new panel members then are full voting members at that meeting.
So we have, what would that mean? That would mean existing chairs would continue until then, regardless of chair term and panel term. So I think that takes us into past our panel term.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, with that, okay.
That's why it means you're stuck.
Yes, you're stuck with us as well.
That's okay.
And also sorry, I should have mentioned, we could also then talk about how you want that election to look, since last year we tried the different, the sociocratic.
Yeah, we tried the sociocratic way, but it was like adapted to the circumstances and the obligations. And I would like to try it again and maybe do a quick training on it so that people respect the rules for that kind of things. And I'm also wondering if having new panelists who don't know what we've been doing and how we've been doing things, voting for co-chairs they don't know, is a good idea. So I feel like it would be better to have the current panel who have been working with everyone and know people more personally, be more a better way of electing co-chairs. Because we kind of know each other by now and we know each other's qualities, and whereas having new people who don't know anything, I feel they might vote randomly or on first impressions.
It's a really good thought. It's a small group that will be continuing though, so we would be voting just on that group.
So would that be like the ones that don't need to reapply, such as like Bill, Alan, and Kristen as running for co-chairs, or what does that look like?
You're the three who are not, yes, the three whose term doesn't end in February, right? Yeah, so they would be the only ones eligible unless we waited for.
But if we're extending by April, we should all be here. I mean,
Whoever is reapplying should be here still.
Right, but that's what.
That's true.
Said she just said that you guys should vote as a current panel. But the
Yeah.
only ones who would actually be eligible to be co-chairs is those three. Right. I'm just wondering, like, with people who are experienced like me, we don't need to go through the whole process of being like retrained and all that to become voting members, do we?
Right.
For like panel.
Wait a minute here.
And that, well, when we see people.
Applications, I'll stay high, and I assume.
I don't know,
whether you're.
It's a good session, yeah, I think maybe Sherry will be.
So maybe that's an invalid point, but I'm just wondering, we won't need the same training as new members if we're accepted.
I'm just gonna say, I would be more comfortable having the full panel be a part of that. Whether they know us or not, everybody, because that's an important process to go through. So I think I mean, they're gonna vote how they vote, and when elected bodies come together, they all vote right away for their chairs and co-chairs, and they don't know everybody yet.
But that's a new process. That's not the way it has been done in the past.
Yeah, I still wouldn't be comfortable doing it without the full panel, with just us here. I just wouldn't be comfortable with that, because it's not inclusive of the new members, and I think that's important. We could still do the same process. So it wouldn't hurt that, it just that they would all be a part.
Cool, okay.
So I wouldn't, we could still do it the same way.
Other thoughts?
That's how we did it last time.
okay, so we'll still need the proposal to extend
So,
Lizzie and I till April.
To delay the election.
to delay the election until
We
physical.
just say like October or November.
That's something that
I mean,
wouldn't be talked about is changing so that maybe the co-chair's election actually took place in like June or something, or, you know, when.
In the middle of a year instead of at the beginning.
yeah, instead of the first month that people are joining,
Yeah.
that will make sense, and I'm down to it if I'm reappointed.
Except that if you do that every year, like you might be halfway through your term and you would have to have re-election when you leave.
Then we name an interim. I don't know.
No, true. I mean, true.
Yeah. So,
Or it's something.
So
we
are
can
we
clarify.
just suggesting that, right, we'll just extend your term as co-chairs until after April?
yeah,
Yeah, and that can
Is
be on
that-
the list of things to
Okay.
discuss in the 5-year review then, too.
I don't think that's part of the 5-year review. So.
it might be, but let's get this out of the table so we move.
After the new member.
April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the new members are appointed and able to vote.
So then I'll make a motion that we maintain Lizzie and Soledad as our co-chairs until after the new members are appointed and we have our full panel, our first month's meeting with the full panel, that we then vote for co-chairs.
Second.
That's my motion. Okay.
All in favor?
Sure.
Very cool. Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, thank you for that, Sherry. Sorry for skipping over that item. Okay, I think we're set. Panel review, chief, meeting with the chief, debrief, block discussion. Hopefully everyone saw the data and block follow-up questions that the chief sent to the panel last week. We perhaps don't have time for a full discussion about that. Maybe next month we could put some time on the agenda. I'd love to look at the data a little bit, maybe we can share some stuff. But in the meantime, the chief also asked for follow-up. So if anyone wants to follow up, ask additional questions, go for it. Other discussion?
I just want to say, Chris, I know you're still there. I guess what I want to ask ahead of this, is this considered the flock data confidential information that we can or cannot talk about at a public meeting? I just want to be sure.
The flock data that was discussed with the chief, I mean, anything that you discussed at the meeting
All
with
the
the chief.
answers he gave us, all the data he gave us, that's open to just be able to talk about openly at a public meeting is my question. Yes or no?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Okay.
What I don't know how it was transmitted to you. I don't know if there were warnings not to share it. So without
Could you-
having seen
Could you
it,
follow up with Sherry and look into
yeah,
that?
I can absolutely follow up.
For our
Yes,
next meeting? Thank you.
yes.
That'd be great. I think specifically, can we discuss the content that was shared with us as in the narrative responses? But then also if we look at the data, what can we discuss about that? We're not going to expose the data directly in a public meeting, but what can we talk about?
Yeah.
In terms of insights from the data?
Happy to look at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And also that we received the offer from the chief to do a training on block.
Yes.
So for that training, I mean, the training itself will be only closed for the panel, and probably part of the content of the training also confidential. And I think, again, it will be super helpful to piece out what are the pieces that we are able to share.
Yes.
With the public, and what are the pieces that we should keep confidential. So I think that maybe that could be part of the training.
I mean, my understanding is that the only thing that's confidential is the training, and then everything else because there was only a warning about confidentiality of the training, but not of the results. So
I just wanted to ask the question.
I wish you hadn't said that.
Because
Now we are stuck.
Shut down.
I'd rather be shut down than that.
Do we want to formally request the training?
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah, everyone on board with that?
Yes.
And you, given where we are in the term,
Yeah.
any ideas on when people would What month basically would people like me to try to shoot for?
That's as soon as possible.
Yes.
After the new panels.
Options are soon, because this is timely and people are interested. Wait until April and have it with the new panel, when presumably we're also scheduling a big block of training time, and it would make sense to maybe.
That would be a lot of training for the new panelists, though, like,
I will,
that's asking a lot.
I would like to do it as soon as possible, just because the implications and the interest from the community have been very apparent. And if we can like provide more information or whatever we can learn and share as soon as possible, it will be very helpful. Also think the political environment grants kind of finding out more and taking precautions. So I love for this to be like one training, and then maybe we add a block in the new panelist member training, like a big training. But I would love to access information soonish.
So knowing that, and thank you. Well, actually, maybe I should ask if people agree with that or not, but I saw a lot of heads nodding. Yeah. Okay. Knowing that we have, the panel meeting on Monday evenings, are Mondays generally a good night to try to see if that works with the police department?
Well, we had trainings like on during the day, like on weekends too, right? During the day rather than in the evening. Would that be better?
That's harder for me typically, but can work.
Because when is the flock team actually working? Like, do they have?
There's not really a flock team, so all officers have access to flock. It would just be depending on whoever they pick to train it, to show it to you guys.
Okay.
So there'd be somebody who could do it morning or afternoon or evening.
I'm sure we can find some, there's a lot of people who are pretty proficient in searching it, so I'm sure they can find somebody who that would fit whatever day and time is selected.
Have you been trained on it by a specific person from the police department or?
It's been a couple of years, but there was like our training team did the training for it. So I'm not sure if it was like a specific person or like a three or like the team was 5 people.
Yeah.
But they probably took turns based on the shift in the day about who on the team was training me when I went through it. So.
But thank you. I mean, my understanding though is that what the panel is looking for includes how does it actually look from an officer's point of view, but also a higher level understanding of who had the access and restrictions and things like that. Do you think that the regular members of the training team would have that, or would it need to be someone higher up in leadership?
I think those are questions that could be ask those questions before, and they can you can get those answers from those officers. They can reach out, or they can be told that if they don't know it already, like who has access to it, outside of Boulder. Those things should be pretty simple to answer.
Yeah, I just don't want to bring the panel together, having them take time and then be told, oh, I don't believe it.
Upfront, maybe this week get that information, because I'd like to know how much time it takes and that as well.
So if you have more specific questions and ask them ahead of time, and then we can those questions can be answered by whoever does the training.
Just make sure the right people are.
Right.
So I think that my perception, and Lizzie, correct me, my understanding was like the chief has a very good idea of what a training will look like, and the content kind of we can tell from the specificity of them. There might be confidential stuff. Maybe we can follow up with the chief and kind of present what is it that we want to see, and then they should be able to pick something. together, I think, so.
I think you can advise on who and when and then
Yeah.
go from there.
Yeah. Do you want me to reach out or one of you reaching out?
That'd be great. If you're up for it. Yeah, and just CCS.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that you can fill in any gaps that I need.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, 2024 annual report. Lynn.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to point out a few things, because I did take the time to read it. And let me just realize it's not open. I thought I had it open. So I just wanna, as I was reading it, and I just read it kind of diagonally, but a few things were came up for me as like how much of a drastic shift we've gone through since 2024. And I'm a little bit shocked by it. In that report, in 2024, the independent police monitor and oversight panel focused on both strengthening internal processes and building stronger connections with the community. Key highlights include strengthening governance. The panel reviewed and updated its bylaws to ensure they remain clear, transparent, and effective. Connecting with community, building relationships, and so on and so forth. We're so far from this right now. So I just wanted to point this out and let's see. I have some the City of Boulder Police Oversight Ordinance. We had trainings in 2024 on the ordinance, which meant were to understand the legal framework that establishes the panel's authority and responsibilities. This helps members carry out oversight in alignment with city policies and community expectations. We've been trained on that. How come we're not in alignment anymore? This has not been answered. And there's the process, the complaint process, complaints submitted by members of the public, the IPM or BPD command staff. Police oversight panel votes on whether to review complaint. There's no saying which complaints we can, respond to. So just wanted to really point out how much we have changed in the last 6 months and looking ahead to 25, 26, as we look to the future of city oversight system, the monitor and the panel remain committed to strengthening transparency, accountability, and public trust in policy. Where are we about on that? Because I don't see the transparency. I don't see the accountability. And I see the public trust going down every single meeting we're having, where we're being told that we can not talk about things that are important to our community. And so in 25 and beyond, the focus will be on proactive engagement. We can't meet to engage, identifying patterns, addressing gaps, and ensuring meaningful community involvement. Addressing gaps, we are enlarging the gaps. And the pattern is that to shut us down. So I just want to alert that we are not doing what we had been set out to do, and we are basically preventing the panel for doing what it is here to do. And when I say we, I mean the city. And then I just want to read this. Civilian oversight succeeds when both the concerns and values of the community are represented and when the community is informed and trusting of the oversight system. So I think we are, as we enter 2026, we are failing. And that's really concerning to me. And I don't think it's any fault of any of the members of this panel. But I just want us to be really aware of what we are entering and what we're losing. Like, we were doing great a year ago. So thank you for giving me this time. I appreciate it. And I encourage you to read further the report and see where we stand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Any other thoughts, comments? Thank you for that one. All right, we'll go to community outreach and engagement.
Well, not a lot has been happening. We met and we talked about maybe having some community engagement events towards the end of February, maybe early March. Probably sent some dates out for folks, just something that we convene, which would all be in line with what we did at the Trident. And so that's kind of one thing we talked about, and the other piece is just really curious to hear, now that there's a facilitator, what Maria's and their thoughts are around the whole community engagement process around the 5-year plan, because hopefully that'll be a place where we can go a little bit deeper into some of the things that we all want to talk about without risk. So I think that's it, unless anybody, I think it was just
Yeah, it's just the idea of having a community forum and addressing some of the questions that the public might have directly in person.
It could be in conjunction with taking them into the 5-year plan discussion, or just we're just kind of waiting on to see what we're in the facilitator are planning on before we make something concrete. That's it.
Has there already been feedback from the community in this forum, or is it something about creating?
Creating.
Okay.
And the 5-year plan community engagement process hasn't even started yet, so. And I don't know how that's gonna play out with Maria and this new facilitators.
Okay. I was just under the impression that when we had that, I don't know what meeting it was, but it was a meeting we had, and we put things on the wall, that was one of the things recommended that we do, was a community forum to get feedback, and
Yeah.
did it ever happen?
I think that's what we're planning.
Yeah, that's,
Is that-
Oh,
that-
now it's just happening.
Yeah,
now.
that's what we're talking
Okay.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can get that.
Yeah. We had one last year at the Trident
Okay.
where I invited community. We might do it in the same place.
We'll see. Hopefully it'll be too small for everybody.
Yes.
Sure.
It's true.
We'll see.
Yay to that.
Well, that's, thank you.
Can I proceed? That's fine. I just want to name and bring into existence the feelings that I felt came up after Milan brought us that reflection in terms of where we are. I don't want the silence to be interpreted as a lack of care. Is really disappointment, and my personally disappointment with her, that the realization of how far away we are from 2024 and 2025. So I don't want to leave the silence to interpretation. For me, the silence was pain and disappointment. So just want to name that and honor your work, Milan, and kind of diving into that and bring it to the group. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we have our independent police monitor report. Okay,
So the January 2026 Independent Police Monitors Report. So looking at case file review data for the month of December 2025, we completed one case review last December. That's MI 2025-038. At that time, or when we don't have any cases currently, or at the end of this time period when I wrote the report, that are waiting BPD disposition, but we just did have a case review last week, so that one's still waiting. There are 7 cases awaiting panel review, and one of those is scheduled for later this week. One just came in today, and one we are trying to schedule. So we've had a lot of movement with cases in just the last few weeks. Looking at cases that were completed by BPD, we have MI 2025-038. BPD officers were attempting to locate a bank robbery suspect via a GPS tracker. Based on the speed of travel, they opined that the suspect was riding an e-bike. Officers then observed a juvenile e-bike rider wearing the same colors of clothing as the suspect in the location of the tracker and instructed him to stop. Juvenile did not initially stop, and Officer 1 conducted a takedown on him. Continued investigation determined that the tracking device was still moving, and photos from the bank surveillance did not match Juvenile. Sergeant 1 acknowledged that Juvenile did not match the photo and instructed that Juvenile be questioned further. When Officer 1 saw the photo, he immediately released Juvenile from hands. Allegations against Officer 1 were Rule 6, use of force, conducted a takedown of the juvenile. Panel recommended that allegation be exonerated, and the department agreed. Rule 5, police authority and public trust, juvenile, and extended the detention of juvenile after reasonable suspicion dissipated. The panel recommended that it be exonerated, and the department agreed. Rule 5, police authority and public trust, search juvenile's possessions. Panel recommended exonerated. The department did that allegation. Rule 5, public authority and public trust, police authority and public trust, cut juvenile's backpack straps. Officer 1, this was exonerated, or the panel recommended it be exonerated, and the department agreed. And Sergeant 1 had a single allegation. Rule 5, police authority and public trust, extended the detention of juvenile after reasonable suspicion dissipated. The panel recommended that this allegation be sustained and made a recommendation of verbal counseling, and the department agreed with that. MI 2025-054, a woman complained that a BP vehicle almost struck her in an intersection. The license plate and description of the officers she provided did not match the GPS locations of a BPD vehicle during the time frame she reported it occurred. An allegation against unknown officer. Rule 2, conformance with laws, did not yield to a bicyclist in a crosswalk. The monitor recommended that this be closed, employee unidentified, and the department agreed. There remains one open case from 2024, which is in chain of command. And looking at the statistics from December 2025, the monitor classified 9 cases. 1 was misconduct, 0 serious misconduct, 5 community inquiries, 1 community feedback, 2 unspecified incidents. I observed 1 interview. There were 0 critical incident scene responses, and I deemed 4 investigations thorough and complete, and BPD closed the 2 cases we just heard about. And as of January 5th, 2026, there were 49 cases on the monitor panel docket. 23 of those cases are classified, 6 of them were pending monitor classification, and 20 of them were in PSU preliminary investigation status. That is the report. People have questions? Oh, I see Elaine.
I have questions, like there's 5 community inquiries, 1 community feedback. I'm wondering about the investigations that were deemed thorough and complete. Are those closed cases? Once they're deemed thorough and complete, is that when the police department and the IPM are closing the?
That's when the investigation is, the way that it works in the process is that is when the investigation is considered complete, but it will then go to chain of command
Okay,
for recommendations.
so they may still be closed by you and PSU
It depends.
before it gets to us.
So this is something that changed just last month, I believe. That now I'm going to be referring cases that
If they're not sustained or exonerated, we'll see them. Does that make sense?
I'm making sure that this makes sense, and now I'm questioning my own numbers, actually.
Okay.
Oh, I know why this makes sense, because previously, several of these cases, the panel had voted on already and voted not to take. So moving forward, you will be getting cases at the thorough and complete stage to vote on. But previously, you would get cases to vote on at the classification stage. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I can try to walk you through it
Okay.
later.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But I just want to note that we have 5 community inquiries, 1 community feedback, which is 6. And that to me is like, suddenly we are seeing a lot more community inquiries and community feedback. I had mentioned in previous months and panel meetings that some of them were red flags to me and should have been classified for the panel review. And so I'm just like, I keep seeing community inquiries, the numbers keep increasing. And I just want to put that on the record that I don't always agree with the classification of those cases. And I'm concerned by the increase in numbers. Thank you.
I also want to comment on MI 2025-038, and I'm going to do this carefully because I want to make sure that I'm not saying anything that I can't confidentiality wise. I was an alternate on this case, so I reviewed the evidence, but I did not participate in the review because I wasn't needed. And I just want to say I'm really surprised to see the outcome. I thought I saw a lot in this case that was very concerning, particularly the first allegation conducting the takedown of the juvenile. And I don't agree with the sentence in the summary of the case. Juvenile did not initially stop, and Officer 1 conducted a takedown. So I don't think what happened to this child should happen. And I'm surprised that there's no, I would love to see I would have preferred to see some acknowledgement of that in the results here. So just want to recognize that.
Thanks, Daisy.
As an alternate that also review that case, I agree with you, Casey. 100%.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, you go ahead. It's your ass. Do we have members of the public?
Yeah, we do.
Don't see any Q&A, perfect. So, okay. Moving into public comment. If you are a member of the public and would like to provide your thoughts, we will call your name and you can unmute. We have a 2-minute timer going on. So if you want to provide public comment, please raise your hand so we can see you before we call your names. So I don't see. Is there anyone? Okay, so I don't see any hands up with members of the community, so I'm gonna do another call. If you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand so we can call your name and allow you to provide your comment. Oh, shy crowd, okay. Okay, with no hands up, we are going to, should we have a 5-minute break before going to closed session? Okay, so we're gonna have a 5-minute break, then we're gonna go to closed session and we'll be back here around 8:15 to conduct the regular business of the panel, so case review, assignment, and assignment for new cases. So we'll be right back. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much. So we're back in public session, and part of our regular business is case review voting. So let's vote. So on MI 2025-053, this is ready for panel vote. Officer 1, Rule 1, compliance with values, use of force failed to de-escalate. Rule 4, respect for others, engage discourteously and or unprofessionally towards son and or mother and or father. Rule 6, use of force, perform a takedown on son. Rule 6, use of force, restrain with knee, son with knee on his back. For Officer 2, Rule 6, use of force, perform a takedown on son. Rule 6, use of force, restrain son with a knee on his back. Officer 3, Rule 6, use of force, performed a takedown on son. So, are you ready to roll call? Okay.
Okay. Turner,
Yes.
Soledad,
Yes.
Milan,
Yes.
Lizzie. Oh,
Not on yet.
not I.
Not yet.
Okay. Kristen,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and Alan.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think the vote matters in this particular instance.
Okay, next case, ready for panel vote is MI 2025-055. Officer 1, Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, or general orders. In-car cameras, body-worn camera, and personal recording devices did not activate them in accordance with General Order 240-2B. Okay, we're ready to go.
Turner,
Yes.
Soledad.
Yes.
Milan.
Yes.
Lizzie. Oh,
Not yet.
Kristen.
Yes.
Curtis. Bill.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Okay. Case assignment status. Are you talking about that, or is me, or we're just assigning?
not sure what.
I think that might be the
The
case that we
zero.
need a volunteer. Yeah.
I think they can all be done at the same
Okay.
time, probably.
Okay. So volunteers for the first case, MI 2025-053. Okay, Milan, Curtis. Kristen. And Turner. Awesome. Lizzie, we voted yes for the two cases. And we're recruiting volunteers right now. Okay, and then the next case is MI 2025-055. Volunteers, Bill. Milan, I can be on the one too. Oh, Alan, okay, then we have three, good. I'm volunteering myself.
Yeah, I can be an alternate or I can whatever.
Okay.
We have four.
Perfect, I mean, it's better if we have four.
Wait,
Milan,
I'm taking you on. That one? No. Oh, so it's Bill, Milan, Soledad, Alan, and Kristen?
Yeah, not me.
Not you.
Yes. Okay, and then we have, what's case number?
MI 2025-050 is a case where we have Soledad and Alan who have volunteered. The case is ready to go. So we need a third.
Not this week. I think I have one this week already, but yep. And assuming that I have something.
Yeah, I don't think it would be this week because you have to get up to speed on it.
Yeah.
I need to give you permissions.
But if it can be then next week, happy
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, we can do it next week. And if the three of you possibly, do you have your calendar, Soledad?
Yes.
If the three of you want to stay after the meeting, we
Yep.
can actually figure out the schedule.
Okay. We can do that. Okay, so 5 minutes to spare. There you go. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Bill, thank you. A second. Awesome. Listen. And meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and see you soonish.
Yes.
Night, everybody. Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye.